So starting straight away with an approach to a case for orthopedic surgery, fracture neck femur. I'm presenting 68-year-old male with a history of fall 2 days back, history of hypertension for the last 10 years. He was on medication. Trauma was sustained by slipping in the bathroom, and that resulted in excruciating pain in the right hip region, and he was rushed to casualty by his son within 1 hour of fall. Then examination was carried out. Patient was conscious. Blood pressure was slightly raised, 170 by 100. Pulse rate was slightly on a higher side. Respiratory and cardiovascular were within normal limit. Hemoglobin, TLC, platelet count, RBS, urea and creatinine, sodium, potassium, serum albumin, they were all within normal limit. ECG showed left ventricular hypertrophy. 2D echo showed diastolic dysfunction as predicted in this age, with a preserved ejection fraction of 58%. So what was the goal of management? It was immobilization of the fracture site and prompt surgical fixation by the orthopedic team. And two types of surgeries were proposed. One is the head conserving surgery, which was not advised because the age of the patient was 68. And secondly, the replacement surgeries, which is now becoming an effective procedure for relief because now it is in growing demand, and it is now performed as an ambulatory surgery as a fast track system. So we were called for the preoperative assessment of this patient. Patients posted for orthopedic surgery, they have a broad spectrum of problems. On one side, we deal with elderly patients and they have a lot of comorbidities, while on the other hand, we have young patients which are usually with no comorbidities, but they are polytrauma patients, which has already been discussed earlier. Age is not a deterrent factor for surgery. Now, this line explains that chronological age of the patient does not determine that they are difficult to handle. But these elderly patients actually have a limited end organ reserve. So a very important matter in this is we should take a proper history that will reveal the chronic conditions that can have an impact on anesthesia to be given. Age-related osteoporosis is very important in these, very prevalent in this age group. Osteoporosis, especially in the post-menopausal females. It is due to the loss of trabecular bone, and these patients are at risk for stress fractures. In minimal impact trauma भी like a slight slip in the bathroom, जैसे कि इस patient में था, can lead to fractures. Bones at risk are hip, hand, foot, spine, knee, like इसमें fracture neck femur, what we have seen. Then osteoarthritis is another common problem. In this, as we know, it is inflammation of the articular cartilage, and patient comes with pain, reduced mobility, and deformed joints. There is swelling at the distal and proximal interphalangeal joints, and there are no systemic manifestations. Now, why this is important for us? It is important so that it's for the surgical positioning of the painful joints for regional anesthesia. Then rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is different from osteoarthritis by the thing that this is a systemic disease with exacerbations and remissions. Patient presents with early morning stiffness कि मुझे जब सुबह उठते हैं तब हमको multiple joint pain होता है, and as they resume their activity it decreases. Now the important thing is that patients जो rheumatoid arthritis के होते हैं, they are on chronic drugs पर होते हैं like NSAIDs, so we have to assess them for gastric ulcers and renal complications. Glucocorticoids ले रहे होते हैं वो लोग low dose continuously, so stress dose of glucocorticoids is important, and disease modifying anti-rheumatic drugs पर भी होते हैं like methotrexate and leflunomide. It is started, they are started early, but what do these drugs do? They increase the risk of infection. Then another important entity is ankylosing spondylitis. Ankylosing spondylitis is fusion of the axial skeleton, like SIJ से शुरू होता है वो, and it ascends to the cervical spine. And what is important to us is patients can have a challenging airway. They can present with TMJ synovitis with a limited mouth opening. They can have damaged cricoarytenoid joints. They can have a narrow glottis, which interferes with the passage of the endotracheal tube. In this disease, we should order lateral cervical spine X-rays of both flexion and extension of the head, so to see the this thing, the कितना involvement है atlantoaxial joint का, because atlantoaxial joint जो है वो instable हो सकता है, and that a slight extension of the spine during endotracheal intubation can lead to quadriparesis. Preoperative cervical flexion spine radiographs are therefore very important. और अगर diameter of एटलस और ओरेंटॉइड के बीच का जो एरिया है वो लेस देन 3 mm आता है, देन इट्स ओके. इफ इट इज मोर, वी हैव टू प्लान फॉर अवेक फाइबर ऑप्टिक. देन अगर रीजनल एनेस्थीसिया के लिए हम सोच रहे हैं तो ऑसिफिकेशन ऑफ लिगामेंट्स इज इम्पोर्टेंट, एंड रिजिडिटी ऑफ द thoracic spine itself demands elective need for mechanical ventilation in the post-operative period. Then coming to cardiovascular changes in the geriatric patient, which we will discuss. On one side, we have arterial aging, that is the atherosclerosis. So we will get increased BP, blood pressure in these groups. And on the other aspect, we have a fibrotic myocyte, which with decreased contractility. This is very important, that beta receptor responsiveness in times of stress is decreased in these patients, so they can have decreased response to drugs. And conduction delays and arrhythmias के लिए they are prone. Left ventricular systolic and diastolic dysfunction coexist in the geriatric patients. So what we have is a non-compliant heart and blood vessels, which can neither tolerate hypovolemia or exaggerated transfusions. So consider fluid administration carefully in these patients. Then coming to the respiratory system में, because of the elastic recoil and loss of height of the vertebrae and the rib cage, we have a barrel-shaped chest. Lung compliance बढ़ी हुई मिलेगी because of the hyperinflated chest, and chest wall compliance because of the elastin or collagen के loss से कम मिलेगी. So they will be dyspneic, increased work of breathing मिलेगा. And this is important, that ventilatory response to hypoxia and hypercapnia is naturally impaired. Lung volume changes में diffusing capacity, FEV1 is decreased 6 to 8% per decade. Residual volume is increases by 5 to 10% per decade, and closing capacity, we all know it is the volume at which the smaller airways tend to close. 44 years tak it is written that closing capacity is always less than the FRC. At the age of 44 years, it is equal, and after 44 years, this encroaches on the FRC. So there are more chances of VQ mismatch in the elderly. Then coming to renal and hepatic systems, there is decrease in the GFR of 10% per decade, and decrease in the hepatic blood flow also at 10% per decade. So what we are dealing with is a nephrosclerotic kidney, and again a liver which has decreased metabolism of both phase 1 and phase 2. It's a slowing down process. Cognitive issues, we have in a geriatric patient, they deal with issues like memory decline because of neuronal shrinkage and the neurotransmitters involved. And important things here to discuss is they can have dementia, delirium, and depression. Depression is more common in these patients. जैसे Alzheimer's के patients होते हैं, है ना? So they have problems of sleep problems होती हैं, agitation, fluctuations in the level of anxiety, anxious होते हैं बहुत ये, attention and confusion is another aspect. Now why we are discussing these cognitive issues is that because it is important in the ethical issues of consent. Consent is only given, autonomy to give consent is only to that person that has mental competence, that can understand the complexity and gravity of the situation and its related consequences. So a diagnosis and screening of cognitive issues is very important. It's not easy. We have to use an 88 questionnaire, and हम surrogate consent ले सकते हैं या advanced directives दे सकते हैं. Surrogate consent is that patient knows that he or she can suffer with a such and such disease, and he or she can give surrogacy consent to his or her relative or son or daughter कि ये the person will give consent in situation if the such situation arises. That is the advanced directives and the surrogate consent. Now, important aspect is of cognitive issues comes also when we plan the patient for regional anesthesia. The issue of cooperation arises, and also patient controlled analgesia का question आता है when we are dealing with pain management. So that we cannot give them. Then एक फ्रेलिटी इंडेक्स आया है, दैट इज द इंडेक्स ऑफ फंक्शनल रिजर्व. इन पेशेंट्स में मल्टी सिस्टमिक लॉस ऑफ फिजियोलॉजिकल रिजर्व होता है, तो वी हैव डिवाइडेड इनटू 3 कंपोनेंट्स. फर्स्ट इज वीकनेस, सेकंड इज फटीग, एंड थर्ड इज वेट लॉस. And the criteria is there is a weight loss of more than 10 lb, there's exhaustion feel kar rahe hain patient on day to day activities, there's limited physical activity, walk time kam hai, grip strength kam hai. So these patients are known to be frail or more disabled during or after dealing with stress. Then coming to investigations, what we will order for. First is CBC, hemoglobin, TLC, DLC, ESR, platelet, RBS, then cardiopulmonary, chest X-ray, PFT, ABG, SpO2, resting ECG is important in cardiac patients, 2D echo. Renal में serum creatinine, blood urea, electrolytes are important because they are again on several medications, cardiac medications होते हैं, diuretics पे होते हैं. Airway or spine is important to assess the range of limb and neck movements. Then assessment for positioning on table for regional blockage should be made, whether they will follow the command, and proper position can be made for regional anesthesia. Then risk assessment. Risk assessment is done on factors of age and comorbidity, whether the surgery is elective or urgent, whether the surgery will have massive blood loss and fluid shifts too. Risk is more related with the sum of underlying comorbidities than with the chronological age of the patient. ठीक है? So अगर 70 years का patient है and he only has a history of hypertension, simple hypertension, and that patient will have less risk as compared to a 60-year-old patient that has undergone a stent placement. So age alone is not a deterrent factor for surgery, chronological age. It depends overall on the other things, whether the comorbidities and the overall ASA grade of the patient. And we should not subject the patient to abnormal non-invasive cardiac testing, because that does not change the management in orthopedic surgery. And we should not delay the surgery because of these investigations. And they say it is documented that morbidity is not decreased by coronary interventions preoperatively. And if we start the patient on anticoagulants and they have to be discontinued before surgery, so perioperative bleeding is an added risk factor. So what should be done? What is the ideal time of surgery? The surgery should be performed within 48 hours of admission. अगर हमको morbidity or mortality कम करनी है और post-op complications कम रखने हैं. So what to do is, अगर हमारे पास कोई ऐसा ASA3 patient आ जाता है, तो answer is hemodynamic stress reduction. We can use beta blockers. They should be started in a high risk patient, or अगर already they are taking, they should be continued to have a target heart rate of less than 80 beats per minute. Then coming to the intraoperative management of total hip replacement. Usually anterior approach लेते हैं या lateral approach लेते हैं. Surgeons prefer lateral approach and the patient is kept in lateral decubitus position. So anterior approach में there is chances of less exposure to the tissue, and also chances of lateral cutaneous nerve of thigh जो होती है, that उसके damage होने के chances होते हैं. So lateral approach is the preferred approach, but the lateral decubitus position के अपने problems हैं, VQ mismatch के, तो हमको we should be ready to deal with them, है ना? And we have to prevent the pressure on the axillary artery and brachial plexus by the dependent shoulder on the dependent shoulder by placing a pad or roll beneath the upper thorax, like we can see in the picture. Then preoperative preparation. Preoperative traction is already put by the orthopedician. Then oxygen therapy is very important in the preoperative period for 48 hours. This is to prevent any hypoxemia. 48 hours are crucial because उस समय आपका फाइब्रोलिज्म भी हो सकता है अगर लॉन्ग बोन का फ्रैक्चर है. पेशेंट ऑलरेडी एक हाइपोक्सीमिक पेशेंट है, ऑलरेडी उसका ऑलरेडी वीक्यू मिसमैच हो रहा है, उसको कार्डियक रिजर्व भी कम है, फंक्शनल रिजर्व कम है, फ्रेल पेशेंट है, सो हाइपोक्सीमिया बिल्कुल नहीं होने देना. So ऑक्सीजन थेरेपी शुड बी स्टार्टेड एट वंस. लार्ज बोर आईवी एक्सेस लेंगे ऑन द नॉन डिपेंडेंट आर्म, क्रॉस मैच ब्लड अवेलेबल कराएंगे. डीवीटी प्रोफाइलैक्सिस शुड बी स्टार्टेड, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी जो पेशेंट है, ओल्ड एज पेशेंट्स होते हैं, वो मैल न्यूट्रिशन वाले होते हैं, एंड ऑलरेडी दे आर ऑन बेड. यूजुअली वी सी कि रात को सोने के लिए उठे एंड देन दे सस्टेन अ फॉल एंड दे फ्रैक्चर. Antibiotic prophylaxis is a must. Prevention of pressure sores is again a very important issue. Polypharmacy and adverse drug reaction we should take history from the patient that whatever drugs they are already on. Then these patients are again in a very depressive state of mind because they deal with chronic pain symptoms, जैसे कि arthritis, which I've told you in the previous slides. So now on table, our problem is कि technique क्या use करनी है. Technique of anesthesia. So it is broadly written that no anesthetic plan is superior. सबके pros and cons होते हैं. Now सबसे पहले हम regional anesthesia के लिए बात करते हैं because regional anesthesia is the upcoming thing. Regional anesthesia को हम अगर if we visualize, we see that the epidural space, the anatomical aspect देखें तो epidural space area जो होता है in geriatric patients का, it is less and permeability of the dura mater is increased and CSF volume is less. So dose requirements हमेशा कम हो जाते हैं. So for a given volume of central neuraxial blockade, there will be more cephalic spread and shorter time of onset and duration of the block. Then regional anesthesia की advantages overweighing the disadvantages. Advantage is that mental status assessment can be done. Vascular flow is good because there is peripheral vasodilatation. There is decreased chances of deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolism in the post-operative period. There is less surgical blood loss क्योंकि venous pressure already veins पूरी collapsed है, venous pressure कम है, तो surgical blood loss कम होता है. Then opioid sparing techniques use करेंगे तो POCD, post-operative cognitive dysfunction के chances कम होंगे. And another entity, another name है यहाँ पर preemptive analgesia. So what do you understand by preemptive is कि हम analgesia ऐसा दें hip fractures में या orthopedic surgeries में जो intraoperative में के लिए नहीं हो. It should be started in the preoperatively, carry in the intraop and continue in the postop. So the aim is for early mobilization. Disadvantages of regional is that patient can refuse straight away. Doctor, I don't want any needling in my back. Sedation requirement is there, obviously. Oxygen देना है आपको उनकी anxiety को settle करने के लिए. Hemodynamic instability हो सकती है in some operations because there can be large fluid shifts. Delayed onset can be there if your technique is a failure. Early wearing off हो सकता है and multiple body surgery cannot be like upper and lower both cannot be operated at once. Then coming to regional anesthesia, we deal first with issue points है हमारे पास. Subarachnoid block, point number 1. Epidural anesthesia, another in our array is epidural, which is we combine usually subarachnoid with the epidural to give a CSC. Or peripheral nerve blocks. Peripheral nerve blocks are ultrasound की वजह से they are now the upcoming things. For hip arthroplasty, we can use a 3-in-1 block, femoral nerve, obturator nerve, and lateral cutaneous nerve of thigh. Or a lumbar plexus block can also be done. It blocks the sciatic nerve, which has a component supplying the hip. So these are the types or an array of regional anesthesia, which we have. Then coming to the most common anesthesia used, that is the spinal anesthesia. So what we need in hip surgery is a profound block up to T10, and that can be achieved by a small amount of local anesthetic. Main challenge is to control the intrathecal spread of local anesthetic. Hyperbaric LAs sink, which what we know, while hypobaric LAs swim in a way that level of spread depends on the interaction of the density of local anesthetic with the patient posture. So, जैसे हम use करते हैं hyperbaric bupivacaine, you can use 3.5 ml at L2, L3 interspace as shown in the figure. अगर हम lateral decubitus position patient is not able to sit and we want a lateral decubitus position में ही हमको we have to administer the block, then we keep the surgical hip schedule side hip schedule for surgery side upwards, and we make the patient we can make the solution hypobaric by using 1.5 ml distilled water, adding it to 3.5 ml isobaric bupivacaine. Then epidural comes. Epidural anesthesia, which we are all familiar. Sudden loss of resistance technique is there, and it passes through the needle passes through the ligamentum flavum and enters the epidural space, and catheter markings are there. Then we can remove the tuhoid needle holding the catheter tightly. Now, this analgesia for hip fractures guidelines आई हैं 2020 की. These are important, so I wanted to discuss here. Now, guidelines say by the Association of Anesthetists that a single shot nerve block should be provided in the emergency department, and at the time of surgery, at least 6 hours have passed between both the blocks. They should be provided earlier. पहले ही आपको emergency department में जैसे ही patient आता है उसका early resuscitation के साथ you should give a single shot nerve block. The idea is again that of preemptive analgesia. Femoral or facial iliaca block can be used यहाँ पर, and the latter possibly providing better incisional analgesia after surgery. ठीक है? So we can use ultrasound guided placement can increase the accuracy and therefore the adequacy of analgesia. Peripheral nerve blocks should be used routinely to supplement general or spinal anesthesia, they say, and their administration before positioning for spinal anesthesia may reduce the need for additional sedation or intravenous analgesia. Now, they are studying the ease of positioning for spinal anesthesia also by giving peripheral nerve blocks in the ED itself. Okay? And they say that whether you are giving a regional block, epidural, spinal or GA, आप उसको एक block तो दे ही दो. Usually the facial iliaca block or other blocks are there also in line, which we will discuss in the further slides. First, coming to the femoral nerve block. This I will discuss in short because I think there's a separate seminar on nerve blocks. Femoral nerve is nerve supply to the hip joint is very important. It is supplied by the femoral nerve, obturator nerve, superior and inferior gluteal nerve, nerve to quadratus femoris, and sciatic nerve. So we can perform the femoral nerve block by a nerve stimulation technique. As you can see, VAN, vein, artery, and nerve. So femoral nerve can be identified at the lateral aspect in yellow color. So we mark the inguinal ligament and palpate the femoral artery 2 to 3 centimeters below the inguinal ligament. Or this is simply a 22 gauge needle से we inject 10 ml of LA. So that is the landmark technique or the nerve stimulation technique. Then USG guided दे सकते हैं. Via USG transducer को हम place करेंगे. Honeycomb appearance दिखेगी हमको femoral nerve की. Needle insert करके, aspirate करके और local anesthetic inject. Now, this is a very important block, facial iliaca block or facial iliaca compartment block, as they say, or the technique. This is a technique. इसमें क्या करते हैं हम inguinal ligament identify करते हैं and femoral artery is again identified and this is divided into 1/3. 2 centimeter distal to the junction, medial 2/3 और lateral 1/3 के junction पर we insert the needle and 30 to 40 ml of local anesthetic is given. 2 pops are felt. पहला pop मिलेगा हमें facial atta का, which we can see in the diagram. ऊपर facial atta है, and then उसके नीचे facial iliaca है, covering the iliacus muscle, which is beautifully seen in the pink color. And then again, vein, artery, and nerve, femoral nerve can be seen. Now, facial iliaca technique, they have divided again into suprainguinal and infrainguinal. And they say that suprainguinal is a better technique than infrainguinal. Then another is the Peng block.
Dr. Sehgal, ma'am, if I may, you'll have to summarize fast because we'll be running out of time soon. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay, so Peng block is another entity that is a pericapsular nerve block. We can use ultrasound guided Peng block. In this, we deposit the local anesthetic below the psoas tendon, as we can see, or the landmark technique. Landmark techniques are 5 centimeter medial to the anterior superior iliac spine. If we compare the FICB and the Peng block, they say that both are equally efficacious, and they say that regional anesthesia is again prefer कर रहे हैं rather than general anesthesia because again it decreases the pulmonary complications, post-operative complications in hip fracture patients. This is the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve block, again 2 centimeter below the anterior superior iliac spine, 2 to 3 centimeter below. This nerve is very important for post-operative pain control. Then lumbar plexus block is now not given, technically बहुत difficult block है, and it's associated with again a lot of number of complications of LA toxicity, large volume देनी होती है, retroperitoneal damage हो सकता है, total spinal हो सकता है. Then coming to general anesthesia issues. आपको यहाँ ब्लीडिंग, वहां पे तो वीनस प्रेशर कम हो जाता है, पेरिफेरल वेसोडाइलेशन हो जाता है, तो ब्लीडिंग के चांसेस कम होते हैं. यहाँ पे आपको कौन सी टेक्निक यूज करनी है? यहाँ पे आपको इंड्यूस्ड हाइपोटेंशन की टेक्निक यूज करनी है. बट द इश्यूज फॉर जनरल एनेस्थीसिया आर दैट जीरियाट्रिक पेशेंट है तो डिलेड इमर्जेंस हो सकता है एंड टेम्परेचर मेंटेन करना है. एडवांटेज अगेन अर्ली ऑनसेट एज लॉन्ग एज इट इज नीडेड, मल्टीपल सर्जरी हो सकती है एंड greater patient acceptance. Disadvantages again airway instrumentation and impairment of the neurological examination in the post-operative period. Then coming to physiological changes in elderly. When we are dealing with general anesthesia, we should know that elderly patients have a decreased gastric emptying. So we have to remember this. And they have increased body fat So volume of distribution of the lipophilic drugs is increased, and that of the polar drugs is also concentration of polar drugs is increased because they have decreased body water. Hepatic metabolism and renal भी GFR rates भी कम होते हैं, तो हमको ये भी अपने you have to keep in mind. Then pharmacology of anesthetic agents in elderly patients is that, again, we can see in this table that brain sensitivity is increased for all the agents. We can see the inhalational agents, the induction agents, all the opioids ki brain sensitivity are increased, and clearance from the kidneys decreased. So ultimately kya hota hai? Dose of every agent which we are using in a geriatric patient is decreased. So what should be the choice of anesthetic agent which we are using? We should use a short acting and a less lipid soluble drug. So what drugs are there in armamentarium? Propofol, fentanyl, rocuron, atracurium, sevoflurane, and desflurane. Okay? And the causes are that because we are dealing with an aging heart and vasculature and a person with blunted responses and blunted both renal and hepatic clearance. इंट्राऑपरेटिव प्रॉब्लम्स क्या आ सकती हैं? पेशेंट की पोजीशन से लेटरल डिक्यूबिटस पोजीशन की प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, हाइपोथर्मिया की प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है क्योंकि लंबी चलती है सर्जरीज, और ऑर्थोपेडिक ओटी जो होती है उसका टेम्परेचर 6 डिग्री 4 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड तक हो सकता है. So hypothermia is another problem. So fluid warmers can be used, and blood loss ranges from 0.5 liter to 2 liters तक हो सकता है. But the important thing is that कि orthopedic surgery में blood loss जो हमको दिखता है on table, that is not the actual blood loss. जो blood loss after the release of tourniquet होता है, जो post tourniquet bleeding होती है, that we have to take into mind कि हमको बाद में भी blood loss can double itself. Then bone cement implantation syndrome is another problem which we encounter in cemented surgeries, and it is manifested as hypoxia, hypotension, unexplained cardiac arrest हो जाता है patient को, and it occurs at the time of cement fixation, prosthesis insertion, joint reduction कर रहे हो, and यहाँ पर जो culprit है वो polymethyl methacrylate है जो हम use करते हैं, and इसकी वजह से क्यों होता है? Pathophysiology क्या है? जब ये हम process कर रहे होते हैं तो fat, marrow, cement and bone particles जो होते हैं, they can be seen in the vasculature. They are actually forced into the vasculature and embolized into the vasculature. क्यों होता है? क्योंकि इंट्रामेडुलरी प्रेशर जो है वो जो नॉर्मल इंट्रामेडुलरी प्रेशर होता है वो 30 to 50 मिलीमीटर ऑफ मर्क्यूरी होता है. जब हम रीम कर रहे हैं, सीमेंट लगाते हैं, तो एक एक्सोथर्मिक रिएक्शन होता है because of this binding, and because of this the debris is forced into the circulation. Other theories कहती है monomer absorption होता है, histamine release होता है, complement factor और anaphylotoxins are involved. Risk factors क्या है इसमें? Old age important है, comorbidities, pathological fracture अगर patient को है, या intertrochanteric fractures में ज़्यादा होता है. तो हमें what should be done? How we reduce the risk and the management? In high risk cases we have to discuss कि cemented करनी है या uncemented करनी है, and usually at the time of cementation we have to increase the oxygen concentration for a good hemostasis. Then medullary lavage कर सकते हैं to decrease the clot formation, and venting of the bone at the lower end permits the air to escape from the end of the cement plug before the prosthesis insertion. अगर हम suspect करते हैं BCIS, so we have to increase again the oxygen concentration and continue it in the post-operative period. और symptomatic treatment होता है with IV fluids, vasopressors, inotropes and heparin. Heparin acts as a emulsifying agent, and it also helps to increase the end organ perfusion. Then fat embolism is another entity. Now what is fat embolism? It is simply fat in the circulation. Lekin when it starts to involve the multiple systems, it is known as the fat embolism syndrome. Incidence तो कम है, less than 1%, but mortality इसकी ज़्यादा है, 10 to 20%. Onset can be within 24 to 72 hours, and it is associated with long bone, pelvic fractures and closed fractures. Risk factors again seen in young males: post-traumatic multiple fractures, bilateral femur fractures, and surgery-related factors again nailing, reaming, bilateral अगर joint replacement है, या फिर high volume of prosthesis use हुआ है. इसमें स्ट्राइड मिलता है हमको. pathognomic rash होता है on the axilla, conjunctiva, oral mucosa and neck. Pulmonary dysfunction. Patient can manifest as dyspnea, acute respiratory insufficiency, simple non-tachycardia मिल सकता है patient को, and neurological non-specific symptoms of confusion and delirium. Good.
Dr. Shavi, we are way over time. I request you to conclude, please.
Okay.
I know I've given that extra 10 minutes. Yeah, I know.
Okay. So diagnostic criteria includes Goods type, which at least includes one major and at least 4 minor features. We can go through, and Schonfield fat embolism index भी दिया हुआ है. अगर इससे more than 5/16 होते हैं तो it is diagnostic. Treatment is again symptomatic. Use of steroids is controversial, and supportive treatment. Then venous thromboembolism is important. Patient can present with clot in the deep veins of legs. Risk बढ़ जाती है because in orthopedic surgeries patient की age ज़्यादा है, immobile है, trauma का patient है, and orthopedic surgery is another factor itself for increased risk of DVT. And when this clot travels to the lungs, we say it as pulmonary embolism is there, and this carries a very high risk for death rather than DVT alone. Now, diagnosis of DVT again is very crucial in these patients, because patient can have no signs and symptoms. And so what we can use is, we can use an ultrasound or a chest x-ray or simple history and examination. Risk of VT, we can see hospitalized patients में, medical patients में तो कम होती है 10 to 20%, while in hip and knee arthroplasty and patients scheduled for hip fracture surgery में, it is the most highest percentage of 40 to 60%. So prophylaxis may, we can go for mechanical stockings, intermittent pneumatic compression devices, and IVC filters. Then pharmacological aspect, patient can be placed on an antiplatelet or a warfarin, ultrafraction heparin, enoxaparin, fondaparinux, or dabigatran, zymelangetrin. These are direct thrombin inhibitors which are now in use. NICE guidelines of 2018 say that they have preferred a low molecular weight heparin for the prophylaxis and treatment of DVT. And ASRA, American Society of Regional Anesthesia, has given some recommendations regarding to the use of anticoagulants and regional anesthesia. So I think we all should be familiar with them. So I just read one line that low molecular weight heparin is a very important thing. यहाँ पर an interval of 12 hours after the administration of usual dose of low molecular weight heparin and placement of CNB, and epidural catheter ka removal at least should be 8 to 12 hours after the last molecular dose of heparin, or 1 to 2 hours before the next. We can skip this. Bridge therapy पे रखते हैं patients को, which are those on anticoagulants. Why do we need bridge therapy? Because we have to get an appropriate INR, and we have to switch over from warfarin to a low molecular weight heparin. So this is the bridge therapy. Discontinue warfarin for 3 to 4 days before the major surgery and begin low molecular weight heparin every 12 hourly देते हैं, 9 AM and 9 PM. And 3 days series की चलती है, और उसके बाद last dose हम 9 PM को दे सकते हैं in the evening, and INR monitor करते हुए, if it is within normal limit, then we can go for the surgery in the morning, and again evening में हम enoxaparin start कर देंगे, 3 days देंगे, and then we can switch over to warfarin. Post-operative complications, again cardiac complications, which I have already discussed previously also. These patients have a high risk of myocardial morbidity and mortality, and respiratory complications also age related होते हैं सारे. Neurological इसमें aspect बहुत important है. Post-operative cognitive dysfunction, that geriatric patients posted for orthopedic surgery, long-term immobilization में 25 to 50% is a good incidence number. These patients suffer from the problem of cognitive dysfunction, either irritability or awareness deficit or attention deficit में, but not affected by any approach of anesthesia which we have chosen, either GA or regional. Risk factors हमको ध्यान में रखते हुए prophylactic continue करना है medications को, identify करना है at risk patients को, and वही IV fluid and electrolyte का correction करना है, maintain hematocrit, oxygen saturation, and pain, बिल्कुल pain is an important thing, because unless and until pain control is not there, early mobilization we cannot start. So prevention of pain is important for early rehabilitation. Then post-operative management, again oxygen, pain control in the form of intra-articular injections लगा सकते हैं, local anesthetic with opioids, paracetamol, है ना, fluid balance. Then coming straight with TKR. TKR में issues हैं, advantages, single bilateral TKR में exposure कम होता है, पर higher incidence of perioperative complications हैं. So जो भी AS 3 and 4 patients होते हैं, या more than 75 या कोई comorbidity से suffer कर रहे होते हैं, chronic liver kidney disease suffer कर रहे होते हैं, they are not indicated for single bilateral TKR. This we should know. Now, this is important. 2020 में 4-in-1 block of saphenous nerve, obturator nerve, sciatic nerve, and nerve to vastus medialis. They have come in. They're expanding the horizons in post-op analgesias for below-knee surgeries. This is all just to decrease the post-operative pain, early mobilization. These are again the blocks, which I think will be discussed in another seminar. Hand or upper extremity surgery may brachial plexus is important. Forearm and hand surgeries may intravenous regional anesthesia or bias block is important technique. We can exsanguinate the limb by limb elevation, a smart bandage, inflate the tourniquet by 250 millimeters of mercury, and then we can inject 30 to 50 ml local anesthetic in the hand vein. 0.5% lignocaine is injected, but this is important that this technique is limited to less than 1 hour procedure. This is the diagram showing the brachial plexus. The supraclavicular brachial plexus block is the spinal of the arm, which we say. And usually in orthopedic surgery, we apply a tourniquet. So this is important that what is a tourniquet? Is a compressing device applied over extremities to control the circulation for a period of time to provide a bloodless field. This is the cuff, tourniquet cuff. It should be applied over proper padding after exsanguination of the limb. Optimal limb occlusion pressures. Occlusion time जो होता है, patient orthopedician हमेशा पूछता है, what is the systolic? Please close the fan. What is the systolic blood pressure of the patient? So 50 to 100 mm above the systolic blood pressure in the upper limb, it is usually 250 millimeters of mercury. In the lower limb, it is 350 millimeters of mercury. And occlusion time is kept to a minimum of 1 to 3 hours. Then prerequisites होते हैं, adequate hydration should be there, temperature should be normal, and blood volume should be normal. And contraindications are there: sickle cell disease, peripheral vascular disease, crush injury, diabetes mellitus, and diabetes neuropathy is another entity in which tourniquet is not applied. Local effects are there of tourniquet inflation. These can be due to the compression and ischemia of the tissue over time. Okay, so at inflation, we can see increased in the heart rate and mean arterial pressure after 30 to 60 minutes of inflation, increase in the pulmonary artery pressure in poor ventricular compliance patient. Prolonged inflation में systemic hypertension can develop, so we have to use vasodilators. You know? Then deflation पर the opposite happens. There is decrease in the venous and arterial pressure and decrease in the systemic vascular resistance. Then metabolic responses. A washout of acidic byproduct occurs from the ischemic limb to systemic circulation after deflation. So there is a transient decrease in the pH, which will lead to an increase in the EtCO2. Transient metabolic acidosis occurs during the process of deflation of the tourniquet. Then compression, neurologic complications may, there is a combination of nerve compression and ischemia. Upper limb में radial nerve is most commonly involved, lower limb में common periodial nerve. And if we increase the tourniquet inflation time to more than 2 hours, it can cause post-operative neuropraxia. Then tourniquet pain. Tourniquet pain is a very important thing. It is a poorly defined dull aching pain at the site of application about 1 hour after application. And if we deepen the anesthesia और patient को sedate कर देते हैं या nerve block भी लगा देते हैं तो भी ये जाता नहीं है. So we have to deflate the tourniquet for 10 to 15 minutes and then re-inflate it. So this is important. Then temperature and hematological change. Inflation पर increase होता है core body temperature because it is cut off from the peripheries. Deflation पर decrease होता है. There is redistributive hypothermia. Inflation is in hypercoagulable state and deflation leads to anticoagulation, जिससे post tourniquet bleeding, which I told you, you have to monitor the blood loss in the next 24 hours even after the surgery is over. Then coming to another entity, shoulder replacement. Shoulder replacement is another upcoming technique. Standard monitors लेते हैं, GA use कर सकते हैं. Technique हमारे में with an armored tracheal tube, or we can use an interscalene approach to brachial plexus, which improves the operative conditions, decrease the blood loss, and good muscle relaxation.